Greetings all, it's Blue Knight, and welcome back to Persona 3 FES. Previously, we hung out with Akinari, which was depressing as usual, and we hung out with Yukari after school, and got more of a glimpse into her relationship with her mother. If you thought it was bad before, well then it's actually worse than you think. Today, we're gonna head into the next section of Tartarus, and as you can see, I already have my party assembled. Koromaru, Ken, and Akihiko, as the pathway has become unobstructed. The reason why I chose Koromaru is because we haven't seen him in Tartarus or in battle for a while, so I want to give him his more of his spotlight time in the labyrinth. And we also saw that Ken and Akihiko both underwent changes in their personas recently. If you remember, Ken awakened to Kala-Nemi, so his persona evolved, for lack of a better term, as well as Akihiko's, which went from Polydeuces to, if we could get it on screen, right before he actually gives me some equipment back first. Okay then, Aki, you do that. But his persona also evolved into Caesar. And as you saw from Akihiko, he no longer just resists electricity, he's flat out immune to it now. I haven't seen the properties list on Kala-Nemi actually. Yeah, it's still the same. So nothing really changed about Ken's persona in terms of the properties, but the big thing to take away from their persona's awakening is that those two can learn even more skills now than they could have before with their regular personas. So if you ever maxed out on Akihiko or Ken's skills and wonder why you can't get stuff like Zeodyne for Akihiko and Ken, shut up phone, have to turn that off. But if you're wondering why we weren't able to get those kind of skills for Akihiko or Ken before their personas awakened, well, that's because we had to wait until the personas actually awakened, and then those skills will become available for us to acquire. And this thing, we're already meeting the first new enemy of this section of Tziah. Shut up phone, I'm gonna turn that off actually. But this is the Order Giant, and it's weak to ice. I thought it'd be weak to electricity. And now that I know the weakness, I can now get King Frost actually, because I need to upgrade that skill to get Mabufula. Not upgrade the skill, acquire that skill. I need to grind on Frost, is what I'm trying to say. Good thing I'm in great status, so this will make going through Tartarus a little easier from here on out, since I can just sleep all the time now. Hopefully I'll be able to get Akihiko and Ken to some of their persona in battle. They haven't done that already. We got Bazuki. I think I already had that in my arsenal actually, so that was pointless of getting. Fantastic. It's kind of one bad thing about having to go after all the personas in this game. It's because there's so many of them to acquire. Sometimes you'll get lost of who you do have registered in the compendium and which ones you don't have. Pretty hard to keep track of. The Visceral Maya. Okay, the second new enemy in the section of Tziah. In case it has to be cleared by now, we're entering a new section of the Tziah block, so we're not done with this part of Tartarus yet. As much as I would love for that to be the case, because that sleeping table was the last thing I wanted to go through in this labyrinth, and I was hoping it would be the last thing we had to experience in Tziah, but no, there's more of Tziah we have to go through. And the Visceral Mines are weak to all elements, but they can nullify all melee attacks, so that's good to know. I think there's another enemy we meet later on that has the complete opposite of that properties list, but I don't know when we'll ever meet that persona. Not persona, that shadow, actually. I'll get the extra experience. So it has been a while since we've been in Tartarus, so we gotta start leveling up. And King Frost is one step closer to learning Mabufula. And Koromaru was able to level up. That's the first level up for any one of our party members to get in this latest stint of the labyrinth.
We can't afford to lose.
And it's not just the personas that change for Akihiko and Ken, like we saw with Ken in that last move. His victory quotes have changed as well as his overall quotes in Tartarus in general. So it's not just that because the personas awakened that the two have changed just for like the sake of the story, it actually carries over into the gameplay too, which is really cool. So you do see that there is a progression in Akihiko and Ken because of their latest resolutions and their personas awakening to becoming even stronger personas. And something inside of us has changed again. This time goes to Quetzalcoatl, only at level 45, but it's one step closer to learning Heat Wave. Man, getting that Heat Wave would be very advantageous to us. And also, Akihiko and Ken both level up. As well as Koromaru, I didn't see that. I thought it was just only Aki and Ken. Nice. So Koro's catching up in levels very quickly. Might get over to that shadow. Uh-oh, that's not good. So run away from it. Oh man, we're trapped between two shadows. That's not good at all. But this small one should be a new one. Yes, it is. The liberating idol. Alright, what are you weak to? It looks very similar to the last idol we saw here in Tziah, but the color was clearly different. And that was such a huge shot in the dark. I didn't think it'd be weak to ice at all. But it did work out. Very nice. And we also level up ourselves. We're now at level 47. So as usual, things are going pretty well for us in Tartarus, but I don't want to toot my horn too much, because you never know when things might go bad at an instant. Hey, King Frost already learned Babufula that fast? Holy cow! I thought it would take a lot longer for King Frost to learn that move, but we finally got Mabufula in our arsenal. I honestly thought that at first it was gonna have like quintuple digits. Maybe I just read that wrong and assumed that it was gonna take even longer for us to learn Mabufula for King Frost, but I was wrong. At least we finally have that move in our arsenal now. That's very nice. It'll make dealing with enemies that are weak to ice a little more tolerable going forward.
Did you see that, Shinji?
I just have to show out that quote very quickly because from my experience, Akihiko uses that line a lot after his persona evolves. He seems to have quite the infatuation for Shinji after he passed by. Kinda makes you question about the relationship a little bit more, don't you think? Though maybe it's just me being stupid. We got 3 more level ups for everyone else except for us. Also, I skipped through this very fast, but Nada Taishi also leveled up, I believe, to level 42. But I didn't gain any new abilities out of that. I spy with my little eyes something red and glowing, and it has to be a target that I need for a request. This is the Scarlet Turret. I remember this being very difficult to deal with on some of my earlier playthroughs, and it still does give me trouble to this day. So let's see, who do I want to switch off to? Does Thoth have anything to gain from? No, it doesn't, so we'll switch off to Sakimitama. So I think the Scarlet Turret might have a property associated with electricity. We'll find out what it is. I thought so, it was weak. That's what I thought. Let's do it indeed, Ken. So the Scarlet Turret is, like I said, a target we use for a structured geisha request for Elizabeth. I don't remember how much we have to take out, but we'll check the quest lineup that I picked up off screen. So first things first, we'll exterminate this Scarlet Turret. It's pretty sturdy so far with spending these AoAs. Funny enough, it's weaker than an Arcane Turret when it comes to the AoAs actually, because it's sustained a lot of damage from those all-out attacks, but we've seen those Arcane Turrets can barely even be scratched by the AoAs. So that's kind of funny to know about.
That's the way.
So do that again,
Here's our chance.
and then
Let's do it.
vanquish this target. And that's so funny.
That was a great
So funny to
battle.
know that the Scarlet Turret, a red shadow, supposed to be stronger than the Arcane Turret, can be taken down by a few AoAs, whereas the Arcane Turrets can barely be nudged by that type of attack. It really puts the scare factor, the fear factor of the Scarlet Turret a little lower when you do come across that discovery. So we did get a red plate armor, which is an item we need for Elizabeth. You get those from the Scarlet Turrets, as we just discovered. As well as 3 gold rings from Wondrous Maggie, or Magi, whatever the pronunciation of that plural word is. But we'll have to find them on floors 151 to 159 of the Tziah block. But as we can see, we're kind of a bit of a ways away from that, so it's gonna be a while before we do encounter those Wondrous Maggie.
There are 3 enemies.
But speaking of new enemies, we actually have another new one that we just came across, the Flowing Sand. And I believe these are the ones that are susceptible to all physical attacks, as in they're weak to all physicals, but they can withstand all elemental attacks.
The way.
Kind of had a feeling we'd be finding the what essentially is the polar opposite of the Visceral Maya in this block. But that's a trick you should remember for those 2 shadows. Mayas are weak to all elements. The Sands are weak to all melee
No
attacks.
shadows are left.
And
My
once
skills have
again,
improved.
everyone but us levels up.
Yes.
I think we
My
might be
skill
on a
has increased.
higher level than I expected because we only got 1 level up in this entire stint up until this point. Or I think this might be the 2nd or 3rd time that everyone else leveled up at the same time. Man, we really are a lot stronger than I thought we would be. Maybe we're too strong for our own good. Uh-oh. Oh, that's not good. I see we have a new enemy. I think I know what the name is. It's something Seeker. I think it might be called the Death Seeker, actually. Yep, it is. Oh man, that particular foe. I remember it giving me a heck of a hard time in the past. It's one I honestly try to avoid as much as possible because of my past experiences. We'll take out the devils that we do know first in the form of the liberating idols. That's not good. I think I may have screwed ourselves over.
Still alive.
This is not good.
Seems Hama's skills
It's weak
work
to
well on
light,
this
so we
one.
know that Ken could deal with that at the very least. It has a lot of dark and fire skills from what I saw. Holy crap, those liberating idols have Garudine. That's not good for us. Ooh, not good for me especially. And they hit really hard. Okay, we'll get the full stat speed on that if we can. We'll try to do this one more time. 'Cause it didn't work the last time. Hopefully with better luck. Good, it does.
The enemy is down.
Okay. Now to capitalize on the opportunity. Yep, guaranteed hit because the eyes came up on the screen.
The enemy's up.
Nice.
Not bad.
Now to deal with the Death Seeker, which I'll just leave that up to Ken. Yeah, his turn's coming up, so he should vanquish it.
That wasn't good.
Or he could just heal Koromaru. I guess that works too. And Ken, come on, the one time I was relying on you to use a light spell, and you completely passed up on the opportunity.
Use Boo-Boo
At least we know what the
skills.
liberating idol is completely made of now. Oh, it's got Ghastly Wail and Evil Touch. I gotta look out for this thing. A lot more than I should. Ooh, that's not good.
Guy is in trouble.
These weren't aiming for me. That's nice. I can use more than some medicine. Thank you very much.
Fight hard. That wasn't good.
Heal me, please, Ken. Please heal me. If I go down to this whole operation's a bust. Everyone else can heal themselves afterwards. Oh boy, there's that Ledoux coming in. And that's kind of why I avoid the Death Seekers as much as I do. They just seem to be so deadly when it comes to using their dark spells. But I'm not giving up on this fight, no way. We have our first new enemy here in a while, and I don't want to surrender to that. I know I did run away from a new enemy once before, but that was kind of out of necessity. This time I'm not doing that. Okay, gotta think carefully what I want to do here. Do I have anything that knows any light spells? I don't think I do. As a matter of fact, I think a lot of my personas are just for social purposes. We'll switch up to... Actually, we'll switch up to anyone. So I am doing pretty good with health now. On second thought, actually, I'll switch up to Succubus. Because it still has a way to go to completely learn everything that it can... No, never mind. This thing blocks off fire. Yeah, nullifies fire. I'll just simply strike it then. That's what I get for not being too careful with my thinking. And after all that decision making, Ken just poked it a couple times and it goes away. At the very least, we leveled up, so we definitely earned that level 48 spot. But unfortunately, Aki and Koromaru do not gain that. Good thing for Ken though, he actually has for Karm now since he leveled up quite a bit. That's very fortuitous to know. Since Ken and Akihiko's personas have evolved, I want to go more into their respective personas' backgrounds. We'll start with the obvious one, Akihiko's Caesar. It is actually based on the famous Julius Caesar myth that you may have heard of in Roman mythology. In case you somehow don't know who Caesar is, he was a dictator that was defied by the Senate of the Roman Republic, and he was supposedly killed by Brutus. What makes it strange is that Brutus's adopted son Octavian, or otherwise known as Emperor Augustus, took Caesar's role there afterwards. So if you ever hear of an entire government system or a group of people in power turning on one of their own, that's kind of like what happened to Julius Caesar. And for Ken's persona, it's a little more interesting. Kala-Nemi is based on the pre-Vedic spirit of the Zodiac. It was referred to as the rim of the Wheel of Time, and Kala-Nemi's association with the Zodiac is linked to the observation that all seasons are determined by the position of the Zodiac in the skies. There's an Indian poem called the Ramayana that has Kala-Nemi in there as a Rakshasa, one of the other personas in this game. But in the poem, Rakshasa is a demon in Hindu and Buddhist mythology. What takes place in this poem is that one of Rama's brothers is wounded, but he doesn't want Lord Hanuman to bring a divine herb for a cure, so he ordered Kala-Nemi, who is a sorcerer in the Ramayana, to kill the Lord, and is promised half of Hanuman's kingdom as reward. Kala-Nemi then travels to a mountain where Hanuman is residing and tries to deceive him under the guise of a sage. However, Hanuman does see through this deception and kills the sorcerer. And we finally have an update on where the next guardian is. It's closer than we think. It's on floor 146. We're pretty close to it too, just 2 floors away from it. So now that everyone has seen it got past Shinjiro's death, I think it's time that I give my own opinions on that. I didn't want to talk about it during Social League business because I feel like that would disrupt the flow of us doing those Social League meetings, but I feel like in Tartarus would be the perfect time for me to discuss the recent event. At first, I was really shocked that we would lose a party member, especially when Akihiko spent months trying to recruit. And after we did get Shinji, I thought he was going to be with us for the rest of the game because I did not count on the fact that somebody would actually get written out of the story from our side. So it was really shocking to see that Shinji, somebody who is constantly great status, would end up getting killed off after a short amount of time. We only had him for at least 2 full moon operations, actually. But the more times I did play this game, and the more times I did go through that event, I started to develop some mixed feelings about it. Now, don't get me wrong, Shinji, I don't think he's a bad character at all. He's a really strong character. We've seen him in battle. He is such a brute to deal with. And we have seen some characteristics of him away from Tartarus, like how he takes care of Koromaru, how he likes animals, how much of a cooking fanatic he is. But I feel like he's one of the weaker developed characters in this story, mostly because his time in the story is so limited, as well as our interactions with him are so limited as well. I also have the feeling that he was just created to facilitate Ken and Akihiko's respective character arcs and for them to reach their resolutions and awaken to their respective personas. So in a sense, I feel like Shinji now is more of a plot device for Ken and Akihiko of anything else, because we don't really know enough about Shinji in my opinion, because his time in Cease is so brief. I guess I'm more distraught of the fact that Akihiko spent months trying to recruit Shinji into Cease, and when we finally had him back in the group, he wasn't there for an extensive period of time. So that could be why I feel so weird about Shinji's passing after playing through this game so many more times now. But there is a cool detail about this whole thing. If you look at the background of Shinji's persona Castor, Shinjiro's fate is actually foreshadowed at close detail. According to Greek mythology, Castor and Polydeuces, or Pollux, were actually twins. They had the same mother, but they also had different dads. Pollux's father was Zeus, which made Pollux himself immortal. Castor's father, however, wasn't. He was a Spartan king named Tiberius, so when Castor died, Pollux asked his dad to share his immortality with his twin brother, and the two became what's known as the Gemini constellation. I sense 3 shadows in the middle. Please be careful. Oh boy, those Death Seekers did not make this trek to the next Guardian floor any easier. But we did get to this point in the Tziah block. And now I think it's time for a hasty retreat and try to plan on who we could bring for this next Guardian fight. So that means that we're gonna end things off for today. We did make it to the next Guardian floor in Tartarus, and I feel like that is a good enough point to stop as usual. So next time, we're gonna go back into Tartarus and take on the next pack of Guardians that the Labyrinth has to offer. Until we meet again, farewell for now.